The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Danny Laurel. Here are the biggest stories on the economic and the corporate front. The Agriculture Department has approved the importation of onions for this month. The DA has given the go signal for the importation of 3,960 metric tons of fresh yellow onion and 17,100 metric tons of red onion. The DA said that upon issuance of sanitary and phytosanitary import clearance, all importers are given until January 27, 2023 for their shipments to arrive in the country. The DA had earlier said it would recommend the importation of a total of 22,000 metric tons of onions to President Bongbong Marcos. Senator Cynthia Villar says she is not in favor of importation as a solution to control the prices of onions in the market. During a Senate committee hearing, Villar said that the rising prices of onions may be driven by a cartel and may not necessarily be a supply issue. The senator adds that while she's not against importation altogether, the government must not rely on it in times of shortages.
The strategy of the Department of Agriculture to import. They cannot think of anything other than importation from my point of view. Ako naman, okay lang mag-import to solve the short-term problem. But towards the long-term, we should have a program to solve the long-term problem. Otherwise, we'll deteriorate, slowly deteriorate.
Now, Senator Villar also lambasted the Bureau of Animal Industry over its decision to import pork last year. This after data from the Philippine Statistics Authority showed that local production was enough to meet demand.
Kaya, mali yan. Oh, hindi tama yan. Ngayon ko lang nadinig yan. Parang logical. Saan mo natutunan yan? Natutunan yan. Ako hindi ko alam na ganyan eh. Oh, saan mo natutunan yan? Miski na WTO, wala naman sumusunod sa WTO. Diba? Wala naman sumusunod sa WTO. Oh, huwag niyo i-reason yan. Ano, ang importer hindi ikaw ang masusunod, importer ang masusunod? Eh, ba't ka pa nagbai? Wala ka palang pagmamahal sa livestock industry, ba't ka magbabai?
We will be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Danny Laurel. Now, the country's trade deficit widened in November of 2022 as exports growth slowed and imports dropped for the first time in almost 2 years. Fresh data from the Philippine Statistics Authority show that imports contracted 1.9% year-on-year to almost $10.78 billion in November. Exports, on the other hand, grew 13.2% in November. That's slower from the 20.3% expansion recorded in October. This brought the trade gap in November to 21.9%, higher than the 13.4% deficit in October. The PSA said electronic products continued to be the country's top export in November of 2022 with total earnings of more than $4.5 billion. This accounted for 64% of the total exports for the month. The Philippine government kicks off the new year with a return to the global bond market via a bond dollar offering. Now, according to the Treasury Bureau, the country is looking to raise at least $1.5 billion from the 3-tranche offering. This offering consists of dollar bonds with tenors of 5.5 years, 10.5 years, as well as 25-year sustainability bonds of at least $500 million each. This is the second global bond offering under the Marcos administration. Now, the government plans to use the proceeds from the bonds for general budget funding and refinancing assets in line with its sustainable finance framework. Now, at least 9 Chinese companies have pledged over $13 billion worth of energy investments in the Philippines. Energy Secretary Rafael Lotilla said they will invest in the country's renewable energy as well as in storage and off-grid supply systems. Lotilla disclosed that some of these Chinese firms already have a presence in the country, such as China Energy International Group. He added that investors are enthusiastic, especially on the opening of 100% foreign ownership on wind and solar projects. Now, the Trade Department eyes more tech investments from the U.S. to improve the local electronics industry. Now, spearheaded by the DTI, the Philippine delegation promoted the sector at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. The agency said representatives also attended several fora and are now having business meetings at Silicon Valley. The electronics industry is the country's top exporter, accounting for over 61% in merchandise exports in 2021. Now, for the first time in 3 years, China has ended quarantine for arrivals. Bloomberg reporters were at key air and land border crossings over in Shanghai, Beijing, and Hong Kong for this reopening just ahead of the Lunar New Year. Let's watch this.
I'm here in the border with Shenzhen in Hong Kong, where I can see thousands of travelers about to make their journey back to mainland China for the first time in 3 years without quarantine requirements. A lot of people are making this trip right before the traditional Chinese New Year so that they can reunite with their family. A lot of them haven't been back for years of time. And I just chatted to a traveler who only spent 30 minutes to cross this border. And during the pandemic time, some of them need to do weeks of quarantine in order to get through the other side.
I'm Alan Wong in Shanghai, where the first day of quarantine-free travel is in full swing. Here at the arrivals gate in Pudong Airport, Terminal 2, there's actually quite a number of people, despite the fact that there are probably not more than 10 flights from overseas today, and mostly from Asia. One of the reasons why there are more people is the fact that ticket prices are still high, and folks have to produce a negative PCR test upon arrival.
Hey, this is John Liu. I'm here at Beijing International Airport. Today is the first day you can arrive in China without having to quarantine. But obviously, if you look behind me, there is not much traffic. I'm actually flying today to New York via Hong Kong, and that's a whole nother story. There have been a lot of requirements put in place, mostly testing by countries such as the United States, France, Italy, Japan, South Korea, because of the big outbreak that we have here in China. And that has caused a lot of concern that new variants will emerge, and that has resulted in more restrictions. In addition, flights are not there. They have not come back as quickly as demand has jumped. Just today, there are only 7 flights leaving here, Beijing International Airport, 2 to Hong Kong, 2 to Macau, 1 to Singapore, Tokyo, and Los Angeles. That combination of a lack of flights and additional testing is going to confine the rebound in travel. So are things opening up? Yes, they are. Are they back to normal? Not quite yet.
Now, for more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World Online, or visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account now. That's at www.signalplay.com, and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Danny Laurel. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News, all sides, all the time.